Well, hey everyone, Hudson here. In this Approaching the Scene, I'm going to take you on an inside view of what last week's Mount Rainier National Park workshop was like that my good friend David and I led. We had a really spectacular time, some great weather, some great wildlife, wonderful group of people. I'll take you inside that, and I'm also going to talk to a lot of the questions that I've had recently about Nikon and Canon's new announcement of mirrorless cameras and what that means, and really how I feel about it, how my good friend David, who's an amazing wildlife photographer, kind of views that whole transition that's happening right now and the changing technology. So Approaching the Scene is a series of weekly videos that I'm doing that just talk about everything photographic, from getting inspired about your subject and creating better images, to editing those images, to the technology that we're using, to the way that photography is changing and morphing. And really, it really, I hope, becomes a big integrated conversation about all things creative imaging, from time-lapse and video to photography, and all of the cool convergence of those technologies. The fact that we're able to hold something in our hands that can do all of this: still photography, time-lapse, video. It's just an exciting time to be a creative visual storyteller. So if you're enjoying this series, I hope you'll click like, hope you'll click subscribe, share this with your friends, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the YouTube comments or send me an email at questions@hudsonhenry.com. You can also just log on to the website. It's hudsonhenry.com/ATS. Check out the training materials that are in there. I'm actually just working my butt off this next couple of weeks and wrapping up a really cool new big core photography course shot down in the desert Southwest, and I think you're really going to enjoy that. So, bookmark that. There's some cool stuff coming soon. So without too much more ado, I'm going to jump back to Mount Rainier National Park, and David and I are going to give you kind of an inside tour of this really incredible workshop last week. Hey, so we're here in Mount Rainier National Park. This is my good friend David Archer, who is one amazing wildlife photographer from Charleston, South Carolina. And we've run a couple workshops together now.
Yeah, we have.
And we just got done with a 5-day workshop here in Mount Rainier National Park, and we kind of had the mountain throw every condition except snow for being August.
That's right.
I mean, it was just
We
sort
had it
of,
all.
We really did. We had a rainy day in deep woods with those beautiful greens, and we had some beautiful kind of foggy weather in these deep woods, and there's tons of waterfalls and cascades. And then the sun came out, and we had spectacular, calm day up at Reflection Lake for the morning with the mountain popping out. What about wildlife?
Yeah, we did get some wildlife too, unexpected.
Yeah, I thought that we had little Clark's nutcrackers that'll land right in your hand to take a nut out of, and we've had
some jays,
beautiful jays, and we have marmots.
Yeah.
One of the workshop students found a fox. We've had deer. So it's been pretty spectacular. We've been all the way around from the south side of the mountain clear around to kind of the northeast side of the mountain, and photographed it from different angles, and been through the woods and the falls, and we had a really great crew of people.
We did.
We had an inspirational, amazing 81-year-old woman who was hiking up and down trails and toting her tripod and super excited and exuberant about everything.
Yeah.
And David and I figured out a couple of cool things. We've done macro focus stacking in the past, but with the new Nikon D850, we both have that camera, and we both started doing a little bit of the internal focus stacking for landscape scenes. We got in some places with really low light and spectacular vistas, but you wanted to get everything from close to distance in focus. And we set that thing up and sort of figured some things out. And I'll be doing another Approaching the Scene video just about that not only covers how to do it with the 850's automated focus stacking, but also we'll talk about how to do it with your camera that doesn't automate focus stacking, because it's kind of been a revelation for me what's possible. It's almost like having the ability to do tilt shift in camera, and then you just take it in a couple quick moves in Photoshop or your focus stacking software of choice. Helicon Focus comes to mind real quick. We'll just give you this amazing result. So exciting stuff. You had fun with that too.
I did.
And David got some just ridiculous bird photographs and marmot photographs. And David loves the wildlife photography, and you're just a master. It's so fun to see. And the whole group had some great compositions.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
I think that morning when the sun came out was really, really. How were you feeling about that?
Yeah. It looked a little sketchy at first. The first couple of days, it was pretty much fogged in.
Yeah, but the weather forecast kept saying, you know, I mean, you scheduled this thing in August. You can't hope
Yeah.
for better than August weather up in the big volcanoes here in the Northwest. And then when the sun came out, I feel like, you know, it's real obvious why this has been the 5th national park established in the United States and is such a treasure. I mean, it just sort of has everything.
Yeah.
Luckily, the forecast held, and we got spectacular weather the last 2 days of the workshop. And I think everybody, you know, that was a nice way to end it. So.
It really was.
So one of the interesting things in this workshop was that more than half the students showed up with mirrorless cameras, and Sony kind of predominated. We had some compact sensors, we had some full frame Sony sensors, and you know, I mean, David and I are we're holdouts, we're still DSLR shooters. I shoot with the Sony system. Well, I have an A7S and I have an A6500, and I've spent a lot of time now with the A7R III, different friends that have it and workshop participants. And you know, at this point, for me, I don't know about you, David, I just that they feel a little small in my hand, and I'm prone to changing settings accidentally that I didn't mean to, the way the buttons and the switches are laid out on it. And I just don't, I'm not as comfortable autofocusing still. I know that they've gotten a lot better, but it still just feels a little unwieldy to me. And I don't know about you. How have you?
Yeah. It doesn't seem intuitive to me. But
Yeah.
I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but just
So far.
initially.
Well, and David's a big wildlife shooter, so we really need to be hearing about the autofocus getting to the same point as the autofocus systems in the Nikons and the Canons. I mean, I think
Yeah.
still when we look at sidelines of the big pro sporting events where they don't have to be silent, you're seeing predominantly Nikons and Canons down there. The D5, like David likes to carry for bird photography.
Yeah.
And you know, I know Nikon has had the big announcement with the Z6 and the Z7 bodies coming out very, very soon. I went ahead and pre-ordered a Z6 because I already have a Nikon D850. I think that's about the same sensor that's in the D7. It doesn't have some of the functions that I love on my D850. It costs a little bit more. Its battery life is less. You know, but I want to see what the new mirrorless form factor feels like, and I don't have a 24 megapixel full frame at this point. I'm shooting with the D500 and the D850. David, I know you're not pre-ordering it yet.
Not yet.
He's going to wait and see what I think of mine before he fully pulls
And
the trigger.
I'm usually a pretty early adopter. But
Oh, David, name me the Nikon bodies that you own at this moment.
see, I have the D4S, the D5, the D500, the D850.
Yeah, you've got pretty much, yeah. He doesn't skip too many new things
Yeah.
from Nikon that are interesting. So I'm going to check out the D6 or the Z6, and I'm not likely to get it until, I don't think they're releasing that one until sometime in November is what I'm hearing. So it'll be a little while, but I'll definitely let everyone know what I think of it when it arrives. But it is interesting, you know, we had someone that was just switching from a D camera from Nikon, from a DSLR, to the A7R III on this particular workshop, and both David and I worked with her a bit with it. And you know, I've worked with the A7R III a few times before, but I was pretty extensively working with it today. And I'd have to say that working in the dark, live view focusing and focusing through the viewfinder, it was about on par with Nikon's D850 with being able to ascertain, you know, whether I had sharp edges or not, opening up the aperture all the way and working at it with high ISOs. They were pretty much on par. The thing that I'm missing is framing up something with my night vision adjusted and seeing it through the lens optically without having to go through that kind of noisy digital interface. You know, sometimes I can get the focus pretty good just optically with my night vision, and you can set your diopter and just look straight through the lens in the dark. And I think that's a little bit missing for me for low light stuff, and the autofocus just seems a little, you know, I know there's plenty of people that are praising the autofocus, but I still have to say I just don't see them on the major sporting events on the sideline,
Yeah.
except, you know, like US Open and golfing events where they want the silent shutter.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. It's a changing landscape, and I'm kind of excited about the new mount. That I have to say. I think it's going to
Yes.
open up some
Yes.
opportunities to design some crazy optics, that really wide apertures,
Yeah.
really wide angles. I'm gunning for that 10 millimeter. That's one of the things I love about my Sony is I have this little Voigtlander 10 millimeter full frame rectilinear lens, and there's nothing like it for any other system. And it makes me kind of think twice about getting rid of my Sony stuff.
Yeah. Now, wedding shooters could be a lot
Oh.
more excited
So excited.
about this. I can see it for a wedding shooter.
Yeah.
Not so much for myself, for my style.
Yeah, well, you're shooting action all the time with birds. It's about getting so many frames a second and having them all sharp and in focus. For the wedding shooter, having that silent shooting, and you don't have subjects that are moving very quickly, and generally there's pretty good light. think it could be just amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
I think so.
And I hope that the ergonomics and the form factor are just a little, I want it a little bit bigger. I mean, I know that's the opposite of the trend,
Yeah.
but you know, if I have my druthers, they'd put a little electronic viewfinder in my DSLR just so that I could review images and zoom in bright light conditions and check focus, but I might be in the minority on that, so. All right, so amazing workshop. Thank you, David. I had such a good time on
me
this one
too.
with you. And
It was awesome.
yeah, Mount Rainier, epic place.
Great location. And join us in Patagonia next year.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a workshop in Patagonia next year. It's gonna be in the fall, our fall, their spring. So
Yeah.
keep that on your radar. Limited opportunity, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
David's coming with me, so. All right, so that's it for this Approaching the Scene. Hope you really enjoyed. If you liked it, make sure you click like, click subscribe. Send me questions. Again, hi at Hudson Henry, or it's at questions@hudsonhenry.com, or just go to the website, www.hudsonhenry.com/ATS. You can also, of course, leave questions in the comments, and I do jump in and monitor those YouTube comments and interact with everybody on there. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.